You've seen fairy gardens before, but have you ever seen one made entirely from trash? Today, we're not just planting flowers, we're planting ideas. Because behind every bottle, lid, and rusted pipe is a little bit of magic waiting to happen. Welcome to Arkan Aesthetic Studio, where creativity meets nature and waste becomes wonder. In this video, you'll find dozens of whimsical summer DIY ideas to bring color, charm, and life to your garden, using items you already have. Every chapter has timestamps, so feel free to skip ahead. And if you have a question or story, drop it in the comments. Don't just watch. Reimagine, rebuild, re-enchant. Maybe to you, I'm just another video. But to me, this is a way to keep a small dream alive. Every view, every comment, every subscriber, it means the world. You're not just watching. You're giving this family hope. Thank you for being part of this story. One, fairy light bottles for garden fences. In the golden hush of summer twilight, the garden fence comes alive with a quiet kind of magic. Along the edge, old plastic bottles, once discarded, forgotten, now glow gently, reborn into fairy lanterns that seem to whisper secrets with every breeze. Each bottle, hand-painted in tender hues of mint, lilac, and sky blue, cradles a string of warm lights inside. Hung delicately from rust-free hooks along the wooden fence, they sway like enchanted pendants as the sun melts into the horizon. Among them, lavender and chamomile bloom freely, sending their calming scent into the air, a gentle offering to passing butterflies and bees. The garden is modest but meaningful, an upcycled fairy realm stitched together with love and remnants of yesterday's trash. There are no grand fountains or ornate sculptures, only the shimmer of light against blooming foxglove and the joy of reimagined waste. For those who walk by, it's a moment of wonder. For those who build it, it's a quiet revolution, transforming the discarded into delight, turning fences into stages where forgotten plastic glows like magic. This summer, the fairies don't hide in books. They dance on garden fences, inside glowing bottles lit by hope and imagination. Two, upcycled trash lanterns with stained glass effects. In a quiet nook of the summer garden, colors begin to spill across the petals like forgotten dreams. Old jars, rescued from dusty cabinets and plastic fragments once deemed useless, have found new purpose as stained glass lanterns of light and joy. Each piece tells its own story. Transparent packaging, softened by warm hands and painted in mosaic layers, now filters the sun into vivid shards, crimson, emerald, sapphire, and gold. As the breeze stirs the trees, these lanterns dance with reflections that twirl across cobblestones and rose leaves. Hanging from iron hooks, they mark a pathway not just through the garden, but into the realm of imagination, a place where waste becomes wonder. Beneath their glow, bees continue their lazy ballet, and the fragrance of summer herbs mingles with the crackling hush of heat fading into evening. There is no need for perfection here, only intention. In this recycled glow, the garden becomes more than soil and roots. It becomes a living gallery, where nature and discarded beauty meet in radiant harmony. And perhaps, as light breaks through old plastic, so too does hope, reminding us that even trash can shimmer again, if we only dare to repaint the story. Three magical mirror bottles to reflect summer sunlight. At the heart of a flourishing garden where bees hum in rhythm and petals unfold with grace, sunlight dances, not only on the flowers, but on something unexpected. Nestled between blossoms and buzzing life, glass bottles shimmer with mirrored skin, catching rays and flinging them like spells across the leaves. These bottles, once dull vessels of yesterday's drinks, now gleam like enchanted towers. A touch of metallic paint, a spiral of reflective foil, and they rise from garden stakes as if summoned by fairies. Each one reflects not just the light, but the love behind its transformation. With every breeze, reflections ripple across petals and soil like garden spirits awakening. Butterflies flirt with their surfaces. Birds pause, intrigued. And beneath this mirrored glimmer, the earth breathes in summer's fullness. There's no magic wand, only a gentle act of seeing beauty where others see waste. The result? An ever-changing ballet of light, shadow, and color that transforms a simple plot of land into a glimmering storybook page. This is where magic begins, in a bottle once tossed aside, now reflecting the golden laughter of the sun. Four, mini fairy house from recycled metal scraps. Hidden among blooms where the hydrangeas meet the moss, a fairy house rises, not from the forest floor, but from yesterday's forgotten metal. Rusted spoons, bent bolts, and tarnished hinges find new life here, shaped by curious hands into a tiny cottage of dreams. Its walls are patched with warmth, each panel of scrap metal kissed with pastel paints, blush pink, moss green, sky blue. No rust remains visible, only story and shape. A tin roof curves gently like a folded leaf, and the door, once part of an old keyhole, invites imagination to step inside. Around the house, flowers crowd in joyful assembly, daisies, clover, and creeping thyme, while small pebbles line a winding path leading to the miniature porch. A soft light flickers from within, as if someone very small is just now lighting their evening lantern. It's not grand, nor perfect, but it is deeply alive. It whispers of possibility, of beauty unearthed from the junk pile. In this quiet garden corner, the world slows down. The fairies return. And through metal once discarded, we are reminded, even the most weathered things can become homes for magic. Five, colorful butterfly feeders made from old plates and bottles. In the heart of summer, the garden pulses with gentle wing beats. Among the blooms, vibrant feeders rise, built not from store-bought plastic, but from pieces of yesterday. An old ceramic plate, a sun-bleached bottle, a forgotten stem of copper wire. Each piece has been reborn in joy. The plate, once chipped and buried in the kitchen's memory, now rests proudly atop a garden stake, brushed with cheerful swirls of orange and teal. It cradles slices of melon and citrus, their sweetness beckoning the butterflies with invisible thread. Nearby, A plastic bottle blossoms into a flower, its cut edges softened and painted in warm summer tones. Inside, a sponge soaked in nectar gleams in the sun. Monarchs arrive first, slow and regal, followed by curious painted ladies and darting swallowtails. They circle, they land, they feed, and in their dance, the garden becomes alive with color, with grace, with quiet victory. This is no ordinary feeder. It is a celebration, a shrine to second chances and sunlight. And in the flicker of wings against old ceramic and bottle plastic, we find it. Beauty that was never lost, only waiting to be reimagined. Six, hanging rainbow bottles in trees as wind charms. High in the trees, the wind speaks in color. Bottles, once dull vessels for water or wine, now dance like bright spirits among the leaves. Painted in bold strokes of ruby, sapphire, and gold, they catch the light with every sway, casting flickers of color onto the petals below. Suspended on threads of twine and ribbon, each bottle carries its own story. Some hum with small bells that chime like distant fairy songs. Others are strung with beads that shimmer and shift as if alive. They do not shout, they whisper, their music soft and laced with breeze. Beneath them, the garden hums. Lavender stretches toward the sky, daisies nod in approval, and foxgloves ring their own silent bells. Children stop in their tracks. Grown-ups smile without knowing why. It is the kind of magic you don't expect, but feel deeply. And when the wind grows bold, the bottles rise in gentle chorus, a symphony of repurposed wonder. In this garden, trash is no longer forgotten. It is reborn, suspended in the air like memory and melody, dancing between leaf and sky in the radiant rhythm of summer. Seven, DIY flower petal path with painted bottle caps. Step by step, the garden invites you in, not with stone or brick, but with petals born from discarded things. Along a winding path, bottle caps once strewn aside now bloom underfoot, arranged in bursts of color that echo the flowers they now walk beside. Each cap has been touched by paint and patience. Soft strokes transform plastic and metal into vibrant petals, rose red, cornflower blue, sunflower gold. Pressed into the soil or nestled within cement borders, they form intricate blossoms that guide your steps like a trail through a fairy tale. The sun warms the garden gently, casting dappled shadows across zinnias and marigolds. Bees trace loops through the air, and below it all, your feet carry you across a path of repurposed joy, a playful mosaic of human touch and nature's wild flourish. No one notices the original labels or dents anymore. What matters now is rhythm, color, the way each step sings of transformation. This is not merely a walkway. It's a garden's heartbeat, where trash meets art and function blooms with fantasy. In this space, even what we once stepped over now lifts us forward, with grace and in full summer bloom. Eight, trash to treasure fairy pond using broken mirrors and bottle shards. In a quiet garden nook, where time spreads low and the air smells of earth and bloom, A pond glimmers with forgotten fragments of the past. Here, mirror shards and bottle glass, once shattered and sharp, have been softened by vision, placed piece by piece along the rim of water like jewels in a crown. They catch the sun's passing glance and toss it back in 1,000 fractured sparkles, turning the pond into a pool of sky, starlight, and summer memory. Each reflection shifts with the breeze, dancing across lily leaves and the smooth curve of pebbles. This is no ordinary water feature. It is a fairies-looking glass born from ruins. Bits of cobalt, emerald, and clear sea glass line the bottom, creating a depth that feels both endless and intimate. A miniature wooden bridge, crafted from repurposed wood, arches delicately over the edge as if leading somewhere secret. Birds dip their beaks. Bees drink cautiously. And in the evening, the pond holds the light of tiny lanterns, solar glows tucked beneath ferns and between stone. It is beauty reborn, a place where broken becomes breathtaking, and every shard reflects not loss, but light. Nine recycled jar terrariums with firefly fairy themes. As daylight slips gently into dusk, the garden takes a breath, and the jars begin to glow. Lined across a wooden table kissed by summer's bloom, these old glass vessels hold something tender. Mossy scenes bathed in golden light, each flicker like a firefly's secret dance. Inside, nature is scaled down to fairer size. Pebbles become pathways. Ferns arch like forest canopies. A curl of lichen forms a bench, and tiny silhouettes of fairies pause mid-flight, captured in a moment that never fades. These jars were once forgotten, clutter from pantries, shelves, the backs of dusty cabinets. Now, their clear walls frame enchanted worlds. Wrapped in twine and lace, with petals pressed into their lids, they glow from within with soft yellow lights, mimicking the fireflies that once inspired childhood wonder. Around them, foxgloves sway and the air grows cool. Visitors don't speak. They smile, lean in, and dream. A recycled jar, a handful of moss, a spark of imagination. That's all it takes to bring back the flicker of magic. In this twilight garden, light doesn't come from stars alone. It also glows softly from the hands that choose to see beauty in the simplest of things. Ten mosaic plant pots from shattered glass and painted trash. On the sun-warmed edge of the patio, color bursts from every corner, not only from the flowers, but from the pots that cradle them. Each planter, once plain and overlooked, now shines with stories told in shards. Pieces of broken teacups, glass from a fallen frame, scraps of painted plastic, reborn here into mosaics that shimmer under summer skies. Patterns spiral like petals, echoing the blooms they hold. The pots are rough to touch but rich in spirit, each one stitched together with glue and care and a refusal to waste. Geraniums spill over the sides in a riot of red and pink. Lavender leans lazily against time. Basil thrives beneath the watchful eye of a mosaic sun made from bottle glass and mirror. There's music in this place, not of notes, but of color, texture, and intention. The way sunlight strikes each piece differently. The quiet satisfaction of giving the broken a new rhythm. In this patch of patio, trash is not hidden. It's celebrated, transformed. And in doing so, it teaches us, beauty is never really lost. It only waits to be pieced together again, brighter, bolder, and blooming. "11. Bottle prism chimes for sunset reflections. As evening tiptoes in, the garden leans toward the light. Suspended from tree limbs and pergola beams, long glass prisms, once humble bottles, begin to catch the sinking sun. They dangle like enchanted relics, their cut edges polished and softened by care. Amber glows like honey, blue whispers of sea, green holds the calm of forest breath. And when the breeze arrives, they sway and sing, not loudly, but like memory humming just below the surface. With each chime, light scatters across the garden floor, rainbows that land on petals, leaves, and fingertips. It feels like standing inside a dream that's slowly unfolding in color. These bottles were once bound for waste. Now they are messengers of light and sound, tuned by the hand and heart of someone who saw more. Tall grasses bow gently beneath them. Lavender sways like prayer. The entire space feels lifted, held in the soft balance between silence and motion. In this golden hour, nothing is lost. Light is caught, transformed, set free again. And the garden, kissed by prisms and song, remembers how to shimmer. "12. Upcycled tin can toadstool seats for garden corners. Tucked in the whispering green of a garden's edge, a secret space invites you to pause. There, beneath the embrace of climbing ivy and fern, toadstools bloom, not from the earth, but from yesterday's forgotten tins. Once mere containers of beans and paint, these metal cans have become seats of wonder. Painted in cheerful reds, creamy whites, and blushing pastels, each one is topped with a mushroom cap cushion. Soft, playful, dappled with dots like something from a fairy's picnic. They stand in a ring, waiting for stories or tea parties or the quiet rest of a barefoot gardener. Wooden stepping stones lead the way, moss-covered and sun-kissed, while small statues peek out from behind leaves with knowing smiles. The air here is cooler, scented with damp soil and foxglove. Light falls in fragments through the leaves above, and laughter echoes from the wind. These toadstool seats are not just places to sit. They are proof that even rusting scraps can become part of something soft and story-filled. In this corner, children build kingdoms, elders find rest, and the garden offers not only beauty, but belonging. "13. Magical garden archway from painted rusty pipes. The garden doesn't begin at the soil, it begins at the arch. Once discarded, rusted pipes now rise in soft curves, no longer forgotten, but transformed into a gateway of wonder. Their surfaces, once rough with time, are now covered in the gentle hues of summer. Mint, blush, lilac, colors that catch the eye and soothe the soul. Vines climb eagerly, weaving stories through each bend. Roses stretch upward, unfurling with grace, while morning glories peek through in quiet bursts of blue. Tiny glass bottles dangle from the frame, each holding a single bloom, swaying in time with the wind. Above, fairy lights drape loosely, ready to glow as twilight draws near. Wind chimes tinkle softly in the hush, a lullaby for anyone passing beneath. And beyond this archway, a world of color and bloom awaits, crafted not by wealth, but by will, by hands that see possibility in rust. This arch is more than entrance. It is transformation itself. Step through and leave behind what was. Step through and believe again, in the beauty of scrap reborn, and in the soft magic waiting within a garden's heart. "14. Wishing tree with recycled tag bottles and ribbons." In the heart of the garden, where roots run deep and branches reach wide, a tree has become more than a tree. It has become a keeper of wishes. Hanging from its limbs are dozens of tiny bottles, each one a whisper from the world below. Made from recycled glass and painted in translucent hues, they catch the morning light and the hopes held within. Inside, coiled slips of paper carry words, dreams of love, healing, adventure, peace. Tucked beside them are petals, seeds, and bits of lavender, tiny blessings sealed gently with time. Ribbons, soft and sun-faded, twirl with every breeze like prayers in motion. The air here is different. It holds something still, sacred, like breath held between moments. A bench curls around the trunk, inviting both reflection and return. Children leave dreams for fairies. Gardeners offer thanks. Visitors tie new wishes to branches, joining a tapestry of silent hopes fluttering above the flowers. This tree doesn't speak, but it listens. And in the clink of glass and rustle of ribbon, the garden reminds us, even the simplest bottle, repurposed with care, can hold the weight of a dream. "15. Mini secret door on tree using bottle caps and scraps." At the base of an old tree, beneath a canopy of whispering leaves, something curious waits to be discovered. It's small, easy to miss, but it glows with the mischief of storybooks. A door, barely the size of your hand, rests against the bark. It's made from the scraps no one wanted. Bottle caps turned into shingles, broken bits of jewelry shaped into hinges, and painted slivers of discarded wood forming its arched frame. The colors sing, deep green, berry red, hints of gold. Each detail is placed with care, not perfection. Moss softens the edges. Pebbles lead like stepping stones. A tiny thimble, now a lantern, flickers with gentle light, as if someone just lit it from within. Around it, the garden leans in. Foxgloves bow slightly, butterflies linger longer, and the air feels charged with the wonder of what if. This isn't just decor, it's a promise. That magic is still near. That imagination is welcome here. And maybe, just maybe, when the night grows quiet and the stars begin to hum, someone very small slips through that secret door, grateful to be remembered. "16. Fairy dust dispensers from mini bottles and glittered herbs." On an old garden table warmed by morning sun, a row of tiny bottles glisten. They don't hold water or wine, but something far more mysterious. Inside, dried herbs shimmer, mint, rosemary, lavender, dusted in golden glitter like dew left by the wings of unseen guests. Each bottle wears its own story, a cork sealed with wax, a ribbon of twine, a pressed daisy leaning gently on hand-painted glass. Some are tied to tree branches, catching the light as they spin. Others rest quietly beside the blooms, half hidden but humming with presence. A label reads, "Fairy Dust." And somehow, you believe it. Children pause here, cupping the bottles like treasures. Gardeners tuck them into hidden corners, blessings for the roots below. Even the bees seem to linger longer near these glimmering charms. The herbs may be dry, the glitter may fade, but together they become an offering. A nod to the quiet magic in repurposed beauty. A moment of pause for the dreamer. In this garden, fairy dust isn't just found. It's made, with care, with imagination, and with the things we once thought ordinary. "17. Vintage trash wall art with plant cuttings." Along a sunlit garden fence, a mosaic of memory rises, woven from rusted trays, dented tins, chipped frames, and forgotten kitchen relics. Once destined for the landfill, they now bloom with life in every corner and curve. Each item has been transformed by brush and breath. Faded baking sheets wear coats of chalky sage and cream. Wooden frames are washed in pastel pinks and soft teal, aged with purpose, holding more than pictures. They cradle ivy, dried lavender, and cuttings of succulent rosettes. It's a wall of color and shape, a gallery that grows. Soft greens spill from old pans, creeping slowly over floral-painted metal. Wild roses below lean up in admiration, blending earth with sky, root with art. Here, the forgotten becomes the frame. There are no perfect lines, no symmetry, only rhythm, texture, stories reborn in bloom. This isn't just decor, it's declaration. That trash can hold poetry, that gardens can climb walls, and that even the most ordinary scrap can be coaxed into color, into presence, into peace. In this place, the fence does not divide, it invites. And every nail holds not just a relic, but a resurrection. "18. Rusty metal sprinkler head transformed into fairy water fountain." In the corner of the garden, where moss creeps over stone and time slows like a gentle breath, something unexpected trickles with grace. Once a rusted sprinkler head, left to the mercy of weather and weeds, it now hums softly with water and wonder. Cleaned with care and painted in bronzed blush tones, the old metal arcs above a basin where petals drift lazily across the surface. Lily blooms float beside marigold confetti, their colors reflected in the ripples below. Ferns bow close, listening. Around the fountain, fairy figures sit in stillness, on pebbles, beside reeds, beneath tiny leaves. Their presence is quiet, but known. A secret circle of watchers. The water trickles in rhythm, not loud, not showy. Just enough to stir the silence. Just enough to remind you, beauty flows not only from the perfect, but from the reclaimed. What once was rust is now reverent, a relic reborn. And as light glances through trees above and dances on the shallow pool, the garden whispers its gratitude, for the hands that saw potential, and for the heart that gave ruin another chance to sing. 19. Trash-lid mushrooms painted in pastel tones. Just beyond the garden path, where shadows play softly on the forest floor, a gathering of mushrooms rises from moss and memory. But these are not grown from spores, they are imagined from scrap. Old metal trash lids, once bent and forgotten, now wear coats of pastel magic. Lavender with white polka dots, peach softened by the light, mint green kissed by dew. Flipped and perched upon weathered logs, they take the shape of giant toadstools, playful, peaceful, impossible to ignore. Around their bases, moss weaves a gentle carpet. Ferns stretch delicately toward their curved caps. Wildflowers bloom in agreement, happy to share the stage. A butterfly lands, unaware of the repurposed roots beneath its wings. Children crouch nearby, inventing stories of fairy feasts and gnome tea parties. The air smells like soil and possibility. These trash-lid mushrooms do not pretend to be real, but they remind us what is real. The power of play, the beauty in bold reuse, the joy of building something soft from something once cold. In this woodland corner, whimsy is welcome. And trash? It becomes toadstool treasure. (20) Plastic bottle floating planters with lavender and rosemary. In a quiet patch of garden where water mirrors the sky, something unexpected drifts between reflections and fragrance. Floating gently across the pond's surface are tiny planters, light as breath, crafted from yesterday's bottles. Once destined for the bin, these plastic vessels have been reshaped and painted, dusty rose, lemon sorbet, soft summer blue. Now they cradle sprigs of lavender and rosemary, their roots nestled in pebbles and cocoa husk, their leaves brushing the air with calming scent. The water welcomes them like old friends. Ripples kiss the edges. Dragonflies hover, curious. Bees visit the lavender with no hurry. The plants float, but they also root, in serenity, in ingenuity. Around the pond, daisies nod in rhythm with the breeze. Reflections ripple, but beauty stays. The planters drift slowly, never out of place. This is more than a garden hack. It is a quiet rebellion, a choice to turn waste into wonder, to let even plastic be part of poetry. And so they drift, soft and fragrant, carrying herbs and hope across a summer's mirror. (21) Magical garden mirror maze using old window frames. Somewhere between dream and bloom, a path unfolds, not in straight lines, but in shimmering reflections. The maze is made not of hedges, but of memory, vintage window frames salvaged from long-forgotten walls, now painted soft as sky and mounted tall. Fitted with mirrors, they rise like portals, catching and bending the garden around them. Roses appear twice. Delphiniums bloom in duplicate. The sky, too, seems nearer, framed again and again in soft cream and dusty lavender. As you walk, nothing is quite where it seems. A butterfly flits past only to reappear ahead. The corridor twists not with structure, but with sight. You are lost, not in confusion, but in wonder. There is no rush here, only the sound of wind and the hush of petals brushing glass. The maze holds no trick, only invitation. What once was a broken pane now becomes a window to enchantment. Each mirror, each frame, a reminder. Even fractured things can multiply beauty. And in this garden of reflections, the lines between real and imagined fade gently. All that's left is color, light, and the joy of getting delightfully, intentionally lost. "22 Solar light-filled bottle castles by the garden path." As the sun leans low and the first stars begin to wake, the garden stirs with quiet light. Along the winding path, glass towers rise, not grand, not tall, but full of quiet majesty. Bottles, once emptied and abandoned, now stand stacked like miniature castles. Painted in soft washes of emerald, sky, and gold, their surfaces catch the final rays of day before surrendering to the glow from within. Solar lights tucked inside each one breathe to life as dusk descends. One flickers, then another, until the path is lined with glowing turrets, tiny lighthouses in a sea of summer bloom. Poppies bow gently beside them. Time spills across the stones like a woven carpet. The path becomes more than passage. It becomes story. There is no throne, no drawbridge, only light, color, and intention. A place where broken bottles become lanterns. Where even the smallest tower can cast a wide circle of warmth. Step slowly. Let your feet find rhythm with the glow. And as you walk, feel this truth echo beneath each footfall. Light, when guided by care, can rise from anything, even glass once forgotten. "23 Broken Teapot Fairy Garden in a Painted Wheelbarrow." In the corner of the garden, where laughter lingers and petals never stop opening, an old wheelbarrow has become a cradle of stories. Its rusted frame now gleams in powder blue, edges softened by age and new paint. But the real magic lies within. Among the moss and thyme, broken teapots lean into one another, their cracked porcelain forming the walls of tiny homes. Chipped teacups cradle clusters of succulents, and a forgotten sugar bowl becomes a wishing well. Tiny gravel paths weave between it all, while miniature fairy figurines rest beneath button-sized blossoms. The scent of marigolds hangs in the air. Bees hover, curious. The flowers at the wheelbarrow's feet nod gently, as if amused by the scene above. This fairy garden isn't flawless. It's fractured, layered, real. It tells of things once dropped or discarded, now arranged with care and joy. Every broken handle, every missing lid, is part of the charm. And as evening light spills across the tiny landscape, it becomes clear. Imagination is the most fertile soil. Here, even the shattered serves. Even the worn-out holds wonder. And even an old wheelbarrow can carry a world. "24 Color-blocked metal art poles from rebar and rusty rods." Rising from the soil like exclamation points of joy, slender poles of metal now mark the garden's edge, not to divide, but to delight. Once rusted rebar and bent rods, they've been brushed clean and cloaked in color. Mustard, coral, teal, lavender. Each pole tells its own rhythm. Some wear bold stripes, Others swirl with hand-drawn florals or quiet geometric patterns. The colors shift as sunlight slides over them, bouncing against petals and catching the corner of your eye. They don't whisper, they sing. Sunflowers rise behind them, tall and golden. Grasses sway in a lazy ballet. The painted poles offer contrast, structure, and playfulness, a celebration of both human touch and wild bloom. A bird perches briefly on a cobalt-tipped rod, unbothered by the change. The garden accepts these sculptures like old friends, born not from expensive art but from recognition that beauty can rise from the bones of things once buried. These poles are not guards. They are totems of transformation, of daring color, of choosing joy even in rust. And in their bright presence, the garden grows not only upward, but outward into imagination. "25. Recycled windmill flowers for breezy fairy movement." The wind hums through the garden, soft but certain. Among the blooms, something stirs, not petals alone, but pieces of plastic and metal, reborn as flowers that spin with every breeze. Their petals once wrapped soft drinks and shampoos. Now they shimmer in yellow and blue, red and green, trimmed into perfect curves and mounted on slender stems. As they turn, they catch the light, throwing flickers across lavender bushes and over the soil's warm breath. These are not still things. They dance. They respond. They play. Between the real blossoms, they blur the lines. Fairy flowers, some call them, always in motion, always somewhere between art and air. Their spin is not frantic but elegant, like a child's ribbon caught in wind. Birds take no offense. Bees learn to navigate around them. Even the daisies seem to nod in agreement. Made from waste, driven by wind, they remind us that joy doesn't need electricity or perfection. Just a little color, a gentle breeze, and hands willing to imagine again. In this garden, motion is magic, and every spin is a soft celebration of transformation. "26. Bottle cap tree of life wall sculpture." On the garden wall, a tree rises, not from soil, but from story. Its roots do not dig into earth, yet they stretch just as deep, into memory, into meaning, into the rhythm of second chances. Made entirely of bottle caps once tossed aside, its trunk curves with copper and rust, bronzed by hand and time. The branches curl outward like songs, filled with bursts of color: sapphire, tangerine, moss green, sunflower yellow. Each cap is a leaf. Each leaf, a decision to turn waste into wonder. Snapdragons bloom below, craning toward this tree of metal and message. Vines wrap the frame gently, as if embracing a long-lost sibling. Even the butterflies seem to pause longer here, sensing something beyond decoration. The fence that once stood bare now breathes with artistry. Not imported, not purchased, but made, cap by cap, hue by hue, by hands willing to see what could be. This tree of life doesn't sway with the wind, but it moves us. For in its stillness, it reminds, growth doesn't always begin with soil. Sometimes, it begins with what we choose to gather and what we dare to create. "27. painted trash bin turned magical garden storage chest. In a quiet corner of the garden, where tools often go missing and pots stack unevenly, a once overlooked bin has been reborn, with color, with softness, with story. No longer gray and grim, the trash bin now blooms. Painted in layers of buttercream and mint, its sides curl with hand-drawn florals, lavender sprigs, swirling vines, and tiny bees mid-flight. The lid wears a cushioned top, dressed in waterproof fabric dotted with daisies, inviting a moment's rest after pruning or planting. Beneath its lid lies order: gloves, twine, seed packets, trowels, neatly tucked within what once only held refuse. Around it, basil spills from terracotta pots. A watering can gleams nearby. Even the breeze seems gentler here, as if pausing to admire. This is not just storage. It's a statement that beauty and utility are not opposites, and that even a trash bin, when seen differently, can belong in a garden of dreams. The garden smiles in response, wrapping the chest in color and calm. And here, amid blooms and buzzing life, the simplest transformation becomes quietly profound. "28. Old chair turned into a blooming fairy throne." Beneath the rose arbor, where shadows stretch like lace and petals fall in silence, a throne rises, not for kings, but for fairies. Once a tired wooden chair, chipped and weathered, it now stands regal in pastel hues. Blush pink softens its curves. Sky blue cradles the seat. Hand-painted vines curl up each leg, twining into delicate blossoms along the backrest, echoing the garden that surrounds it. The seat itself no longer bears weight, but life. A shallow planter blooms with violas and ferns, their leaves spilling over the sides like a gown in motion. Ivy trails downward, kissing mossy stones at the base. Around the chair, petals rest where they've landed, and small fairy figures peek from behind leaves, silent witnesses to this transformation. The throne doesn't demand attention. It earns it, with quiet charm and purpose. What once served as furniture now serves as fable, a place where stories bloom with the roots. In this enchanted corner, the garden offers a gentle reminder that even forgotten seats can be claimed by beauty, that even the ordinary can hold court among flowers. "29. Hidden garden lanterns with lead in recycled cups." As evening unfurls its velvet canopy, the garden begins to glow, not with sun, but with whispers of light tucked gently among the leaves. Scattered through flower beds and beneath overhanging branches, small cups, once meant for tea or soup, now cradle warmth. Each one is a secret lantern, painted in soft bronze or brushed with wildflower patterns, hiding a flicker of lead light that pulses like breath. Some rest quietly in the soil, peeking between chamomile and lemon balm. Others dangle from branches on curled wire, swinging slightly in the breeze like the sighs of unseen guests. Fireflies glide past, uncertain of the source, drawn by the glow, but not alone in giving it. These cups, once mundane, now speak the language of twilight. There is no grandeur here, only intimacy. No electricity, only quiet innovation. And in the hush of nightfall, when petals fold and the wind softens, the garden reveals its softest truth. that even the humblest cup, when lit with care, becomes part of the stars. A lantern, a gesture, a love letter to the dark, written in recycled light. Vintage fairy post station using rusty mailboxes painted fresh. Just beyond the winding path, past a patch of forget-me-nots and the hush of tall grass, stands a row of mailboxes, each one soft with age, yet shining with new life. Once rusted and forgotten, they now wear coats of robin's egg blue and dusty rose, their surfaces adorned with painted vines and gold-tipped lettering. Fairy letters, wishes inbound, messages to the moon. Nestled among the wildflowers, they don't hold bills or flyers, but scrolls tied in ribbon, tiny envelopes sealed with pressed petals, and the imagination of those who still believe in secret correspondence. Children slip in handwritten wishes. Gardeners leave notes to the breeze. Visitors linger just long enough to wonder if someone might reply. Ivy curls up the wooden posts like punctuation. A butterfly lands, unaware of the magic it guards. This post station does not deliver by road, but by reverie. And in its stillness, among sweet peas and quiet laughter, it reminds us that not all messages need answers. Some just need a place to rest and be received under summer sky and watchful bloom. If this video meant something to you, please know that subscribing means the world to me. You're not just supporting content, you're supporting a dream that keeps my family going. Thank you, truly. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you enjoy the most? Is there anything I could do better to keep inspiring or simply entertaining you? Your feedback helps this channel grow with heart and purpose. Let me know in the comments. I read every one.